When it comes to the channel, Mr. Super Oz, there is a through thread of wrestling and imagination. It started with the Wednesday Night Wrestling remix, which evolved into Alpha Entertainment Worldwide. But the thing is, it's never, it was never enough. There was always more ideas than could fit in to the rules of the game. And so from the existence of whether it be the Wednesday Night Wrestling Remix or Alpha Entertainment Worldwide, there was always a need for more. And so thus came Butterfly Effect Wrestling, where I change one thing and we go over the results thereof. Then came all filler. First the Royal Rumble, then WrestleMania. But what all of these have in common are rules. Structures in place to ensure from beat to beat things make sense. And there are just sometimes when some ideas are too big for the rules. And so here today for the first time ever will be Survivor Series Out of Time. We're not bound by contracts. We're not bound by injuries or expiration dates. There's nothing holding back the booking of this particular Survivor Series. All it is the best possible Survivor Series card throughout all of time. Stay tuned. After the open rolls, I am going to book a 5-match card of a Survivor Series show with no rules. So I said that there were no rules, but the fact is, this show, this Survivor Series, is structured in such a way to make sense as a Survivor Series show. Say that 3 times fast. But what I mean by that is the show opens with a traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series elimination match. But again, nothing is holding back these teams, and so it's not company dependent, it's not time dependent, it's what I want to see dependent. And so the first team out for this traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series match is team, let's just call them Vicious, Delicious American Patriots. So, this team is captained by Marcus Alexander Buff Bagwell, and his team members are Scott Flash Norton, the Patriot, Too Cold Scorpio, and Scotty Riggs. So, when I was growing up, one of my favorite WCW talents was that young rookie, Marcus Alexander Bagwell, and regardless of whoever his tag team partner was, I always thought Buff Bagwell was cool. And so his team is taking on a sick set of folks. It's Uncle Howdy, it's Braun Strowman, Rowan, Brody Lee, and Bray Wyatt. So it's just such a contrast, which is one thing I always loved about the original Survivor Series concept, is you would have these polar opposites going at it. And so what's more polar opposite than the American males and the Wyatt Six? In this 5-on-5 encounter, it's nothing but crazy good talent, so much friggin' fun. You got the Patriot versus Uncle Howdy. You've got Too Cold Scorpio going up against Eric Rowan. Come on now. Scott Flash Norton. Big Bull going up against the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Come on. That's good stuff. So, Scotty Riggs and Braun Strowman, my goodness, that's crazy. And Buff Bagwell and Brody Lee. It's just nothing but fun. So I'm not actually going to book winners for these because it's just a dream card. Actually, here's what I'll say. If you're watching this, tell me in the comments below who you think should win each one of these 5 matches. So the second match on the card is not necessarily associated with Survivor Series. However, it is a match that I think that WWE, especially when they revived ECW, should have made a regular occurring part of Survivor Series, that being the traditional ECW 3-way dance, where it's not a one fall to a finish, but only one man survives when the WWF's 1-2-3 Kid takes on WCW, and I mean Nitro debut, Flying Brian, and Mr. Pay-Per-View, Rob Van Dam from ECW. What an exciting 3 guys to put into this contest. Flying Brian in the debut of Nitro era, just a pristine talent. Rob Van Dam, always one of a kind, and Sean Waltman, I've always thought, regardless of the character, was a man with an immense amount of talent. Again, tell me in the comments who you would like to see walk away as the sole survivor. And as a matter of fact, that could be what WWE had rebooked it as, the sole survivor triple threat. So the third match on the show, once again, like with the ECW 3-way dance, is not yet associated with Survivor Series, the pay-per-view, but I've always thought since its introduction on NXT that the Iron Survivor Challenge was tailor-made for Survivor Series. Literally, Survivor's in the title. It's 5 guys, or in this case, women, going for 25 minutes, and the competitor with the most falls walks away in the actual match as the number 1 contender, but in this match as the women's champion. Thank you for being here at Mr. Super Oz. This video is going out, and this channel only exists because I, Oz, founded Gamble Comics, which first release was Everlasting Survivors, a 68-page graphic novel called All Day Long. Available now. Follow the link in the description that will take you to gamblecomics.com. While there, you can get hats, shirts, posters, much, much more, but most importantly, the story itself. So you have Beth Phoenix, former Divas and WWE Women's Champion. You have Medusa, former WWF Women's or Ladies Champion. You have Awesome Kong, former TNA Knockouts Champion. Chyna, former WWF Women's Champion. And Ember Moon, former NXT Women's Champion and current Forever Ring of Honor Women's Champion, going at it. And of course, in the Iron Survivor Challenge match, you start with 2, then a clock winds down, a third enters, and then a fourth enters, and then a fifth enters, and at the 25-minute mark, whoever has the most falls wins. But nobody can convince me this would not be a fun match. My goodness. MAD USA versus Awesome Kong, the 9th wonder of the world. Like I said, the forever ROH Women's Champion, and Beth Phoenix, the Glamazon, is just a match that I think would be so fun if you can pull wrestlers from their prime and put them in a ring and just see what kind of beautiful creation it could be. So for the semi-main event, it is a match that Survivor Series was built around for a few years consecutively, which is champion versus champion. However, the 2 champions I am choosing to have represent their federations in this match are from before that era of champion versus champion, I mean, in the era I'm pulling them from, they're from before then. And so the first man to represent his company as champion is the 2001 Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, big gold belt, WCW genetic freak, going against the 2002, or we could say 2003, however you want to look at it, Brock Lesnar, undisputed champion. Because in my view, this clash would be quite the Titan versus Titan encounter. Quite the big bull clashing with, the young lion, if you will. Like, it's just forces of nature going at it. And again, put in the comments who you think would win from a young Brock Lesnar and a seasoned Scott Steiner. My goodness. The idea of, if Scott had been treated as a tip-top guy in a good way when he was brought into the post-draft era and Brock was taken to SmackDown and Scott was signed to Raw and took on Triple H at the Rumble, man, what a different world it would be if Scott was treated like the top guy he was in WCW when he went to WWE. But in the main event of the evening, in this Out of Time Survivor Series, this match is what Survivor Series has been built around the last few years. Obviously, the match itself is Dusty Rhodes' creation, War Games. And this concept, the idea that War Games is what Survivor Series is built around, is what makes me think there's hope for the Iron Survivor Challenge moving from NXT to the main roster, because that's what War Games did. It started out on NXT and worked its way to the main roster. And so that makes me believe that the Iron Survivor Challenge could become something that is foundational to the Survivor Series pay-per-view. And I've always thought, much like Hell in a Cell and TLC and other match types, that War Games could easily be the subtitle of Bad Blood War Games or SummerSlam War Games, because I personally believe that War Games could be used as the subtitle to most pay-per-views, not Royal Rumble and not WrestleMania, but basically anything else, not Elimination Chamber because it wouldn't make any sense, but you could do War Games on like 9 of the 12 months of the year, and it would make sense because War Games should be used as a way to contain and manage faction-on-faction warfare. But because it's being used as a Survivor Series staple, that's why it's main eventing this Out of Time Survivor Series event. In this Out of Time main event for Survivor Series, you have one side captained by Hollywood Hulk Hogan, taking on the other team captained by Stone Cold Steve Austin. So Team Hogan is Hall, Nash, Macho Man and Randy Savage, and the man called Sting. Because when I think of the New World Order, you've got the founding fathers of Black and White, and you have the top trio of Wolfpack. And so, obviously, Nash fits on both of those teams, but that's my version of Team Hogan taking on Team Austin, which is every man that he held the World Wrestling Federation tag team titles with. The two-man power trip, him and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He had held the titles with the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels, which then ended up being the fact that he held the titles with Mick Foley, and Austin also held the tag team titles with The Undertaker. And so these two five-man factions, these two five-man squads, go at it head-to-head, man-to-man in War Games to close out Survivor Series Out of Time. So leave in the comments, are you Team Hogan or are you Team Austin? And that kind of will tell me if you're Team WCW or Team Attitude Era, because that's kind of how the main event seemingly sort of works out to be booked. But realistically, I love all of these guys. I love the idea of booking wrestling without restraint. It's almost like playing a video game at this point because you've got so many different eras represented on the show and just a real good time. So I hope you enjoyed this experiment. There will once again be all filler shows where Josiah and I book, a bad Survivor Series, we'll say. Or there will definitely be more butterfly effect wrestling where we change one thing and see if what the events thereof would be. Let's say we book somebody else to be the first Money in the Bank winner, conceptually. And of course, Alpha Entertainment Worldwide continues and abounds because it is the longest running concept that the channel has had and stuck with. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Later.